Update. My parents demanded that I change the date of my wedding because of a trip to Australia with my golden brother and his family. I told them yes, but now they're crying because I got married without them 5 days ago. Part 2. My brother had planned a vacation and wanted to take the whole family with him, so they couldn't postpone it. My brother had already taken time off, and my parents expected me to delay my wedding. They thought I would prioritize waiting for them over holding my actual wedding. Instead of declining the trip, they told me they were really excited and looking forward to spending time with their grandchildren. They expected me to understand. I wanted to argue with them, but instead, I simply smiled and said, "It's fine, I'll wait." They were confused and didn't even realize I wasn't being sincere. They seemed satisfied with my response, so they left. I talked to my wife about it, and she was equally surprised. We had always known that my brother was more important to them, but for them to so blatantly disregard me was just so disrespectful. Obviously, we had no intention of waiting or postponing our wedding and decided to go ahead with it, with or without them. So, 5 days ago, around the time we were supposed to get married, we went ahead and had the wedding, and we posted about it that afternoon. This shocked my parents because I had promised to wait, but I didn't. When they saw the photos, they started calling and texting me immediately, but I ignored them because it was my wedding day. I didn't even bother reading the messages until the next day. The following morning, when I woke up, I read the messages they had sent me, and it was exactly what I expected. They said they were very disappointed in me and that they never expected me to betray them like that. I decided to contact them and talk about what had happened because I really had a lot to say, and I'm sure they felt the same way about me. They didn't take long to answer my call, and as soon as they did, they started yelling at me. They said they had never felt so insulted as they did the day before. Everyone was shocked that I hadn't invited them to my wedding. Since I wasn't close to the rest of my family and was a bit introverted, no one had expected to be invited to my wedding, but everyone apparently believed my parents would be there without a doubt. They were surprised to see the photos and not find my parents anywhere. So, the whole family had a lot of questions. It was typical of my parents to care more about what others thought than about what they had put me through. Anyway, I decided to tell them what I thought and explain that I had no intention of waiting for them to return from their vacation with my brother and his family, even though I had said I would. I knew arguing with them would be pointless. It wasn't like they were going to turn down a trip with their golden child and his family, even if it meant missing my wedding. I was already very busy and didn't have the energy to argue with them, which is why I promised to wait. In my opinion, I was completely justified in what I was doing, and I didn't owe them an explanation. I also mentioned everything that had happened in the past, how they never believed my brother was a horrible and arrogant person, and how they always treated me unfairly. Even now, they couldn't see that my brother had specifically chosen the time to invite them on vacation because he knew it was more special to them. If he could make them skip my wedding, it would be the biggest victory for him. That's exactly what happened. My parents had once again shown me that my brother was more important to them than I was. Now, they had no right to question my decisions because I was tired of them, and I wasn't going to be sidelined anymore. I was about to hang up, but my parents told me that apparently, my brother didn't know I was getting married around that time. They said that if I had told them that I wanted them at my wedding and wasn't willing to wait, they would have declined the trip and been with me instead. However, instead of being transparent with them, I chose to play mind games, and now I was acting like a victim in the situation. I didn't expect that reaction from them, so I decided to talk to them a bit more. They told me that apparently, they hadn't even told my brother I was getting married. Since I hadn't invited the rest of my family, they didn't know either, so he had no idea I was getting married around the same time he was going on vacation. He had invited them without any hidden motives. Apparently, they only decided to talk to me because they knew that if they chose to go on vacation with my brother and his family, it was unlikely they would have such an opportunity in the near future since my brother has been very busy since starting his own business. So instead of simply turning down the trip without talking to me, they decided to ask if I would be comfortable with the idea of postponing my wedding for a couple of weeks. If I had said no and been honest with them, they would have turned down the vacation and been at my wedding. As for what had happened in the past, they told me they were willing to accept that maybe they had been wrong for never acknowledging that my brother might have been horrible to me and that I might have been telling the truth. However, they said I never helped the situation because I always tried to create problems, seek attention in the most drastic ways, and be a nuisance in the family. So they couldn't fully blame themselves for not believing me when I tried to make it seem like my brother was always attacking me. When they put it that way, I couldn't help but think that maybe they were right. You can click on share and more to see if there is a part 3.